I can't believe it happened. Zack Snyder's Justice League has premiered on HBO Max, and it's time to argue who would win between the two genocidal maniacs from Marvel and DC. In this video, I will be detailing the strength, speed, and durability of each character, and doing my best to determine who would win in a fight if these two Goliaths ever battled. While this should be really obvious, it's always good to remind everyone that we're talking about the movie versions of these characters, not the comic book versions. So this means material from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Zack Snyder's live-action DC Universe will be the only sources considered for this video. For DC, I will only be considering feats from Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Additionally, I will not be considering the respective armies that these characters command. This is mano-a-mano, 1v1, no holds barred, steel cage money match for the comic book movie world title. And with that being said, let's begin with the Mad Titan, Thanos. Thanos is, without a doubt, the most powerful being the Avengers have ever faced as a unit. He's a maniacal warlord who has traveled the cosmos for millennia, becoming the Genghis Khan of the universe, defeating the most powerful heroes on every world that he visited, and never looking back. But after he visited Earth, Thanos proved that he was the strongest to ever live, defeating Thor, Hulk, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and anyone else who dared cross his path until he claimed each and every Infinity Stone. He then wiped the universe of half of all sentient life with a snap of his fingers. But even without the Infinity Stones, Thanos is more than a match for most of the Avengers. Like I previously mentioned, he was able to take down Thor and Hulk back to back during the events of Infinity War without breaking so much as a sweat, beating them both into submission and leaving them for dead. And just to elaborate on this a bit more, both Hulk and Thor are incredibly durable. The God of Thunder's durability is especially notable here, as he has one of the best durability feats for any of the Avengers, enduring the quote-unquote full force of a star during the events of Infinity War. As I've mentioned in my videos for both Thanos and Thor, the act of creating or destroying a star is not the same as the amount of energy that star can output. In fact, the amount of energy isn't anywhere close to star level. The total amount of energy that Thor was enduring per second is roughly 855 gigatons of force, or roughly, in terms of power scaling, large island level. Because Thor was tanking this amount of energy for so long, it's not a stretch to upgrade his durability slightly to at least small country level. Now, these terms may be a little bit confusing for people that don't power scale, but they're pretty simple. Small country or large island essentially means that Thor can endure the amount of force it would take to destroy a large island or a small country, so it's just that easy. Thanos easily reaches this power throughout both Infinity War and Endgame, as he's able to beat Thor to a bloody pulp in nearly no time at all. As for durability, we could take the easy way out and just apply Newton's third law. As every action has an equal and opposite reaction, Thanos needs to be able to endure the amount of force his strikes can output. However, I'd like to take a closer look at his durability. Of course, we see him casually shrugging off multiple attacks from an enraged Hulk. Iron Man exhausted the entire arsenal he had at his disposal against Thanos and was only able to put a scratch on his face. And he was dropped but ultimately unaffected by Thor's lightning, which in the first Avengers film could easily obliterate Leviathan. After recovering from this lightning blast, Thanos is pierced in the chest by Stormbreaker, which could destroy the hulls of Outrider drop pods. Despite being pierced in the chest, Thanos was able to still snap, and then recover from this attack before snapping again, which he survived less than a month later. And during Endgame, Thanos was able to hold the Power Stone in his hand for a brief period, using it to blast away Captain Marvel, and as we learned in Guardians of the Galaxy, holding the Power Stone is no small feat, as holding on to it was going to kill Peter Quill, a half-celestial with the same power as his father Ego. Thanos may even be able to amplify his durability using the Power Stone within the Infinity Gauntlet as well. as Ronan was imbued with the power of the Infinity Stone during his invasion of Xandar, allowing him to no-sell an attack from the Hadron Enforcer, a weapon built by Rocket Raccoon that could shatter moons. And while Thanos hasn't shown this same ability to harness the Power Stone's capabilities in this way, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to allow him to use the Power Stone, as he is one of the most knowledgeable beings in the universe when it comes to the Infinity Stones. In the speed category, Thanos is seen reacting to Captain Marvel, who in her solo film has shown reaction and combat speeds exceeding Mach 100, and during Endgame she's able to fly down to Thanos' planet, search it, and return at insane speeds, reaching Mach 300 at a low end and over Mach 1000 at a high end, and that's over 750,000 miles per hour. And while Captain Marvel can fly much faster than this, exceeding speeds far beyond the speed of light, that is her travel speed, not necessarily her reaction speed or combat speed, so that's not really applicable when you're talking about a one-on-one battle. While Usain Bolt is very fast, I don't think anyone's going to sit here and argue that he is the fastest striker in the history of the world. It's just not the same thing. Of course, as we already mentioned, Thanos holds the ultimate weapon in his universe, the Infinity Gauntlet, which houses the Infinity Stones. Space, power, mind, soul, reality, and time. Thanos can use each of these stones individually or in various combinations to devastate his opposition. The Power Stone alone gives him planet-busting potential. The Space Stone allows him a whole host of spatial manipulation abilities. The Mind Stone allows him to command the will of his enemies. The Reality Stone allows him to rewrite the fabric of the universe. The Soul Stone allows him to manipulate life and death itself. And the Time Stone gives him the power to dominate destiny. With all 6 stones combined, a simple snap of his fingers would be enough to erase Darkseid from existence. But Darkseid isn't going down without a fight, and while you may think he doesn't really do much in the Snyder Cut of Justice League, there is more than enough information for us to gauge how powerful the darkness before the daylight of history really is. To figure out how powerful the Great One is, we need to first discuss the weaker Steppenwolf, as he is pivotal for our power scale. If you're a big fan of the Zack Snyder DC films, then you probably already know this, but for those of you who are not aware, there was a Doomsday who was created on Krypton before the planet was destroyed. That Doomsday escaped the planet, but not before doing some damage. During the Man of Steel watch party, hosted by Zack Snyder himself, he states that the shattered moon we see in the sky during Man of Steel was actually destroyed by this Doomsday, and at some point Steppenwolf battled Doomsday, and they both lived to tell the tale. So using this feat, we can pretty easily surmise that Steppenwolf and Doomsday should be able to output and endure forces up to or exceeding 25 exatons, which would be around multi-continental to moon level. So how does this relate to Darkseid? Well, a young Darkseid, known as Uxas at the time, did battle against the old gods, being Zack Snyder himself says we're the only ones who could stand up against him.
I got a question here about how strong Uxas is, young Darkseid compared to, let's say, like Zod. But I think that, young Uxas is super powerful compared to the rest of the, the only thing that, could really stand up against him is the old gods.
During that battle, Uxas is able to briefly block an attack from Zeus before being overwhelmed by Ares. Later, we see Zeus crack the Mother Box Unity with a similar lightning blast, and conveniently, Superman has the same feat of tearing the Mother Boxes apart. While you may say, well, Cyborg was there too, and probably helped Superman, I don't think this matters much at all. If you remember the fight scene against the rest of the Justice League earlier in the film, the combined strength of Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Cyborg did absolutely nothing to Superman, so Cyborg's assistance with tearing apart the Unity, at least physically, is negligible. He's a drop in the ocean that is Superman's power. Superman is, of course, light years beyond what Steppenwolf is capable of. He no-sells a massive attack from Steppenwolf and bullies him into submission. From what we've seen in the film, Steppenwolf seems to be in the realm of Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Aquaman's power level. Meanwhile, Superman is far beyond this and is easily more than 3 times stronger than Steppenwolf. So let's get this all summarized and relate it back to Darkseid. Superman is 3 times more powerful than Steppenwolf, who is throwing down with a Moonbuster in Doomsday. Superman's power is relative to Zeus, 2 characters who busted the Mother Box Unity, and a younger, weaker Darkseid was able to block a blast from Zeus, and Zack Snyder himself says that only the old gods could stand up against Uxas, meaning that a Superman level character would be needed to battle against him. And keep in mind, that's a younger, more inexperienced, less powerful version of Darkseid. By the time of the Justice League's formation, Darkseid has become much more powerful, as Zack Snyder detailed during the digital red carpet premiere of Justice League.
So what happens is we see him, and so we get to see him, like, you know, fighting and kind of, you know, doing his thing, kind of a young, you know, world destroyer, you know, cutting his teeth on, you know, some Earthlings, and, you know, he bites off a little more than he can chew, but it's fun, and of course, when we see him, we do see him later in the movie. Now he's really the absolute King Daddy of the universe, and he's mad.
Not to mention that in the Nightmare timeline, Darkseid pretty much bullies Aquaman, and it's implied that he killed Wonder Woman as well. So with durability and strength out of the way, let's talk about his speed, which is pretty simple, and again, we've discussed it at length in various other DC Extended Universe videos, but we'll address it again here. In the guidebook for Batman v Superman, it is stated that Superman's heat vision is a beam of light, therefore making it light speed as well. To support this, his heat vision beams function as beams of light. They always move in a straight line, and they reflect off of surfaces just how a beam of light would. Wonder Woman is consistently able to very casually react to and deflect these light speed attacks, even when fired at point-blank range. Additionally, in Man of Steel, Superman is able to outfly a singularity, confirmed multiple times to be a black hole, which sucks in anything doused in Phantom Zone energy. Because Superman was doused in this energy, he would need to fly faster than the speed of light to escape this singularity, and in the same guidebook we mentioned earlier, Superman's travel and combat speeds are stated to be equal, meaning that he can not only travel faster than light, but can react and fight at this speed as well. This is relevant because Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Cyborg all scale to BVS Superman, and Steppenwolf is roughly equal to them in speed, if not a little bit faster. Darkseid would of course need to scale to this at minimum to tag Aquaman and Wonder Woman during their battles, and his Omega beams seem to be even faster than his base combat and reaction speed. While the Speed Force seems to affect how time works when the Flash begins traveling at light speed, this doesn't seem to affect the reaction speeds of the other characters. And Barry himself states that he needs to go far beyond the speed of light to reverse time. As for other unique abilities, Darkseid of course has his Omega Beams, which we just mentioned, and he does eventually get his hands on the anti-life equation, which allows him to dominate all life in the infinite multiverse and bend every being to his own will. So in a battle to the death, who comes out on top? Well, Thanos unfortunately doesn't have a prayer. While Thanos theoretically has the power to destroy the universe and tear it down to its atoms and then remake it with his own vision in mind, he simply wouldn't have the opportunity to do so, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe really only reaches massively hypersonic to relativistic speeds at a high end, unless you want to, misconstrue speed scaling to get the verse higher. So Thanos likely gets Omega beamed before the synapses in his brain can even fire, and then it's a wrap. Even when equalizing speed, the anti-life equation should be more than enough for Darkseid to subjugate Thanos. In an equal speed scenario, it really just comes down to who uses their trump card first. Does Thanos snap and destroy Darkseid, or does Darkseid invoke the anti-life equation and control Thanos? When taking away the Infinity Gauntlet and the anti-life equation from the combatants, and then equalizing their speed, it still doesn't end well for Thanos, who at best is large island to country level, while Darkseid scales far above Steppenwolf, who could battle with Moonbusters. Finally, if we equalize everything, meaning the two have equal speed, attack potency, and durability, and we also remove the Infinity Gauntlet and the anti-life equation from the battle, Thanos likely has the advantage, at least in skill from what we've seen, but Darkseid still has Omega Beams, so this battle would be a lot more contentious. But it's hard to choose a definitive winner in this scenario as we don't have that much information about Darkseid, at least compared to Thanos. So in my opinion, I think Darkseid wins in pretty much every single scenario except for an equalization of all stats and abilities. Other than that, Darkseid just completely stomps. He's just too fast and he's too strong. That's not to say Thanos isn't incredibly powerful.